Hello again. I have been following with enormous interest the explosions in Moscow, which were supposedly from drone attacks. Some people are claiming that this was a false flag operation by the Russians, but that doesn't really make any difference, does it? Either the Russian capital has just been bombed for the first time since 1942, or the Russians are going to pretend that it has been bombed. Either way, their reaction is likely to be the same. What will they do you think? Well, let's ask ourselves what America would do under similar circumstances. Imagine that the White House or Pentagon came under attack from enemy missiles. What do viewers think would happen? I'm guessing they would launch an absolutely massive and overwhelming military response, using their air force to obliterate those who were being blamed for the attack. They would do so even if they had actually staged the attack themselves, of course, because if they had gone to that trouble, then it meant that they had done so to give themselves an excuse for some fierce retaliation. I can't imagine that the Russians would be any different. My interest in this is simply a matter of self-preservation. I can see that the Russians are likely to launch a terrible attack in Europe, and I don't want it to spread and engulf Poland or any other nearby countries, because under the NATO Charter, an attack on Poland would be treated as exactly the same as an attack on every member of NATO, including Britain. It would mean in effect that this country was at war with Russia, which makes me a little, shall we say, uneasy. I've been watching with interest the war in Ukraine and the way in which all orthodox military thinking has been overturned in the course of the last year. It has always been assumed that any attack by Russia in Europe would be fast-moving and involve columns of armour sweeping across the plains. It would all be very different from the stalemate in the trenches seen in the First World War. Of course, in the event, the war has become bogged down in exactly the same way as the Western Front was between 1914 and 1918. Nobody thought that would happen. Now the Russians have an excuse to take the gloves off, though, there's no telling what will happen next. As long as whatever it is limited to the plains of Eastern Europe and doesn't entail Russian tanks sweeping towards the English Channel, then I shall be fairly relaxed about it all.